Today, I want to talk to you guys about labels. I understand why we have a need to categorize things. I mean, like in a grocery store, when a person is stocking the shelves, you put the canned goods over here, the bread stuff over here, the cereal over here. I understand it. But when we start to take it too far, it's when we start to believe that the labels that we affix to people is who they are. We are the sum total of all of our experiences and our reactions to them. We are not a label. Now, there are certain individuals out there right now crying about affirmative action, and now it's this DEI hire, diversion, exclusion, inclusion, diversion, equity, and inclusion. I believe that is. And you're making it sound like it's a bad thing. The only problem is you're not looking at the whole picture. You see, affirmative action would not have been necessary. DEI hiring would not have been necessary if those in the position of leadership, those in the position of authority, those in the position of influence were not bigots. That's right. I said it. I'll say it again. Bigots. Their idea of what a brave person looked like, what a smart person looked like, what a strong person looked like, was simply defined by themselves. If you look like me, then this is the type of person that you are. If you don't, then you are less than or inferior. The 1st Black Tank Battalion wiped the floor with those Nazi tanks. But even George Patton still believed that because of their skin color, they were inferior. The Red Tails, the most requested escorts for bombing missions. Because when they flew with the bombing mission very rarely, if ever, lost the plane. Yet and still, none of them received the recognition that other pilots received. I want to tell you a story. I had just transitioned from the military back to the civilian world. And I saw an advertisement for a job with Federal Express. They was looking for managers. I read all of the requirements and made sure that I could prove that I met those requirements. I did my due diligence about the organization, about the company. So when I put together my resume, it was well put together. I show up to be interviewed, and there's other people out in the hallway with me. But as the interviewers were getting set to begin, the door was cracked, and I clearly heard them, as well as the people that were sitting out there with me, say that there was really no need to continue interviewing anyone because, based on the resumes they received, they had found the perfect candidate. The name they called off for that perfect candidate was mine. Some of the people sitting in the hallway with me got up and left, but still a few hung around. So now, after hearing that, I start to dream about what I was going to do with this opportunity. When they called me in the room for the interview, those three people sitting behind that table looked at me like they saw a ghost. During the interview, they asked me a whole bunch of questions. None of those questions had anything to do with the job at all. So when that interview was over and I stepped outside back in the hallway, I knew what was going to happen next. Sure enough, a couple of days later, I get my letter. And they are making all kinds of apologies for not offering me the job. It didn't matter about the qualifications. The only thing that mattered to those three people sitting behind that table was their definition of who should have the job and who should not. As long as individuals in the position of leadership, in the position of authority, in the position of influence are running around with that type of mindset, things like affirmative action and DEI is necessary for no other reason than to elevate this nation to a place where it should have been over 200 years ago. In order for America to truly become that beacon on the hill, we all have got to learn to tap into the immense talent of our citizens. But because those closet Klan members who used to wear a pillowcase over their heads are now actively in positions of leadership, authority, and great influence, and has taken that position, that idea, all the way to the White House. Those individuals are the ones who is holding our nation back. So until you create a system to where no one is judged by the color of their skin, when everyone is given an equal opportunity to show who they are. We, as a nation, will still be lagging behind. Because, ladies and gentlemen, these labels, they don't define who you are. As a matter of fact, for me, there is only one label that has ever mattered to me, that has ever given me strength, confidence, dignity. And that's the label not given to me by these wannabe thoughtful thinkers. It was given to me by God. And that label was my child.